tonight from the Department of Public Works, the Fire Department, and the Department of Emergency Services and Telecommunications. I am Councilwoman Marilyn E. Rossetti, and I am the Chair of Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee. This meeting is broadcasting live on HPA-TV's Xfinity Government Channel 96 and Frontier Channel 6032. It will also be streamed via hpa-tv.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and the HPA-TV Apple TV, Amazon TV, Roku TV apps. It will also be made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. I would like to acknowledge my colleagues present today. To my right is Council President Clark, and on the screen is, I think, Assistant Majority Leader Hernandez. Tonight's presentations are, as I said, who they were, and the first up is the Department of Public Works. You are on, Director Hayes.
Good evening, and thank you, Chair Rossetti. I'd like to thank Council to begin this presentation for their support of the Department of Public Works over the past 2 years while I have been with the department. This Council has provided a historic labor deal for our 17-16 AFSCME members. They have put $2.5 million towards equipment at DPW, but as we saw with the snowstorms and other challenges over the past year, our equipment is failing, and we need all the support we can get. Currently, our heavy plow units, 86% of them are past their useful life. Half were unavailable for the second large snowfall due to mechanical failures. 2/3 of our waste trucks have been unavailable in a single week due to equipment failures, and 27 of the 32, or 84%, are past their useful life. At this time, the department respectfully requests the support from Council to pass the lease bond and the bonding package that would allow the city to begin to dig out of the hole that we are in from an equipment standpoint. With that, I'd like to introduce the city's Better Angels, also known as our leadership team. To my left is Petrel Mailer, our Deputy Director of Public Works. Behind me, and if you could please stand, there's Frank Della Ripa, the City Engineer and Assistant Director of the Department. Jason Sutherland, the Streets and Sanitation Superintendent and Snow Commander. Michael Dean, the Engineering Inspection Supervisor who oversees the Permit Office. Sophia Rodbell, our City Forester. Patricia Nelson, our City Architect. Mark Dowd, our Parks Superintendent. Mark Fontaine, our Equipment Services Superintendent and City Fleet Manager. And Adiel Rodriguez, our Facilities Superintendent. With that, we will move on to the budget presentation. I know we're all familiar with the mission of the department, as it has not changed, and to allow there to be more time for questions, we'll move right along. What you'll see from a department organizational chart is everything is basically the same year over year, except you'll now see that the 311 call center is included in our administration line. Highlights from 2026. You know, the snow operations throughout the winter, it was a tough winter, but we are proud of the work that we were able to do with the limited equipment we had. Total accumulation so far has been 4 feet and 7 inches. We hope that number does not increase now that we're into the middle of April. But what I would point out here is, compared to the 2012 event that shut down the city for a week, we had 40 more CDL plow drivers. We had 12 pieces of sidewalk clearing equipment, where for this large 18-inch storm, we only had 3. So the work that our staff did was pretty incredible with the resources they had. We're very excited that in the Flood Control Division, we have begun $25 million in flood control repairs that are incredibly necessary. And I know Councilwoman Rossetti was a part of a meeting today that outlined what we're going to need to do for the next 5 to 10 years. We are excited also to note that our Forestry Division, we were able to hire a tree planting coordinator this year, and so far she has received $147,725 in grant funds to help aid in tree planting. That is mostly in a DEEP grant that will plant 175 trees in Pope Park, Colt Park, Porter Memorial Park, and the park behind Breakthrough Magnet South. In that, there will be community meetings to discuss what trees the community wants for those 4 parks. There will be 2 learning groves, so there can be education around the trees, and we are excited to get more trees in the ground. As you'll have seen, we expect to, in FY26, plant 450 trees, mostly because of the USDA grant that has been, that was awarded, I believe, 3 years ago. And through that USDA grant funding, we expect to plant an additional 500 trees in FY27. Also, an important point is we have begun working with OSHA in a voluntary consultation program to improve workplace safety and training for our individuals. And by using OSHA's expertise, we are hoping to move the department forward so that our staff is better trained and better able to be comfortable with the equipment they operate. The strategic initiatives for the department have not changed. They are the initiatives that have been in the budget book over the past 5 years. We are working with the performance management team in the COO's office to update those, but for now they continue to be the same, but truly do match what the department is attempting to provide to its residents: improve quality of life through timely, efficient, and effective maintenance and waste collection, incorporate complete streets and quality of life initiatives into all roadways, parks, and facilities projects, work cooperatively with other applicable city departments on efforts to reduce blight, manage expenditures for roadway infrastructure, public buildings, and the city fleet of vehicles and equipment managed by Public Works, and conduct self-assessment review of Public Works policies, procedures, and service delivery methods, undergo peer review by other Public Works professionals to measure, benchmark, and identify areas of potential performance and technology improvement. More importantly, we'll look to the budget comparison of FY26 versus FY27. The 9% increase you see here is really driven by the union and non-union salary adjustments, especially the 1716 contract. The additional 4 positions that are transferring from the 311 call center under the Chief Operating Officer's office is also included in that. And then we're seeing an increase of $200,000 to support the department's overtime operations. I should note that that $200,000 in many ways is just an adjustment to help cover the salary increases of the 8% in 2026 and the 4% that begins on July 1st of 2027. Another $200,000 is being added to address the rising cost of maintenance and repairs to facilities and equipment, so that'll be in the Equipment Services Division and the Facilities Division. And then we have new environmental compliance requirements that will require us to spend roughly another $150,000 to be in compliance. This increase is partially offset by the transfer of the facilities and energy manager position to the Office of the Chief Operating Officer. That position originally was in the COO's office. It was transferred, I believe, about 5 years ago to DPW, and DPW and the COO's office felt it would best serve the city if it was back under the Director of Capital Projects and Operations. And the highlights are areas of focus. I know I already spoke to it, but the new equipment purchases are going to be incredibly important to our team. In general, with sanitation and with all of our divisions, but right now, especially with sanitation, we're working with our municipal partners from around the country to help re-envision our sanitation operation. A lot of interesting things are going on, especially Tucson, Arizona, Minneapolis, and we've been able to talk through challenges they have and creative solutions they've used to better attack sanitation throughout their cities. They too have sanitation departments that are serving the city, and they are not using private contractors. And then we're very excited to focus on our road and sidewalk infrastructure through bonding. We know the condition of our roads, and we know the conditions of our sidewalks. I would note that in that bond, there's about a $4 million portion for ADA compliance, especially around curb cuts and redoing those. I would just remind council that we are under a consent decree from the Department of Justice to repair and replace all of our ADA infrastructure, and the funding that had previously been used for that consent decree had run out, so this is our way to put the dollars back in necessary to continue to comply with the order. And then we'll just quickly look at the staff composition. 51.4% of our staff are Hartford residents. You'll see the breakdowns of our Hispanic, African American, Caucasian, and other groupings. And then the Department of Public Works is 90%, 90.4% male and 9.6% female. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. As I have said the last couple of budget meetings, we have 3 departments tonight, so we will do 1 round of questions, 2 questions each. I know every department would then, if a council colleague has more questions, they'll be free to email that department head with a follow-up question. I wanted to mention that I see Councilman Mitchum has joined us, and also Majority Leader Biladu. So with that being said, I know my colleague, Councilman Hernandez, has a work emergency, so I will start on the screen with Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rossetti. And thank you, Director Hayes and team. You know, I think we always appreciate the work that you all do, especially under difficult conditions, both in terms of weather and equipment. My question is about the equipment. You mentioned that during a snowstorm, so much of our equipment is past its working life. Some of it without permission. What would it cost to bring our fleet, your fleet, up, just to have everything, nothing beyond its working life? Like what, in terms of replacements, what would that run us?
Sure, thank you, Councilman. Just to reiterate your question, because it came through a little choppy, the question was what amount of money, what resources would be required to do a full turnover of the fleet so that nothing was outside of its useful life. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you. Yes.
Great. So we never want to buy everything at once, because we don't want it to all go out of commission at once. But what we have found is right now, $4.8 million a year would allow the Department of Public Works to turn over every piece of equipment during its useful life, or at the end of its useful lifespan.
And just to be clear, that's $4.8 million a year more than you are getting, or is that in your budget?
Well, in In FY26, there was no funding allocated for vehicles for DPW because of the potential lease bond. My understanding is that lease bond will provide roughly $10 million to the department, which would allow us to do about $5 million in year one and then spread the other 5 over the next 2 years. So I would say for FY27, we would be at the appropriate number, but moving forward, we'd be looking to get to a point where we were at a total of $4.8 million a year.
Just so, and forgive me if you said this, just because, so basically what you're saying is if and when the lease bond goes through, you'll be set for the time being.
Yes, we'll have a little bit of a reprieve for a year.
Thank you. That's my only question. Appreciate it.
You're all set, Councilman? Thank you. All right, I will now start on my right, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation. I'm sorry I missed it. I got stuck at work. Just one question. Does your department or has your department experienced any hiring challenges in any specific areas?
Sure, I would note to council that the HPA contract is coming up, I believe, next year. And our HPA employees, many of whom are behind me, are underpaid compared to the surrounding towns. We have found that, I will not name the town, but a small town on the shore, their crew leader, who oversees 6 people doing road work, makes more than any of our supervisors do here in the city of Hartford that are handling sanitation crews of 30 to 50 people. So financially, it is a challenge for us to hire our supervisory level positions, our expert positions, our engineers, those sorts of positions. Currently, though, we are doing all right in vacancies. We do not have too many vacancies, and we continue to slowly fill as they come about. We are doing our best to comply with the recent COO initiative to freeze hiring for short periods of time to increase vacancy savings. So that probably has been our greatest challenge in the short term. But I know those are on a case-by-case basis, and we continue to work hard to serve our residents properly.
Thank you.
Council President?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Hayes, and Deputy Director, good evening, and to DPW staff, good evening as well. Regarding snow removal, the operators, because you mentioned in your presentation that we basically have half the fleet than we did in 2012, and they were operators who were under receipt that had CDL. So it is safe to say that you need a CDL to operate those type of snow removal trucks?
That's correct.
And when they do snow removal, is there any type of training that takes place on how to properly remove snow on the street?
There is some training that occurs. We continue to explore other ways to train. To become a maintainer 3, which is the minimum level where there's a CDL requirement, to be eligible, you have to go through a full round of testing. And with that testing, part of that involves competency with these heavy trucks. I'm proud to say that Jason Sutherland, our streets and sanitation superintendent, spearheaded our program to get CDLs to do CDL trainings within the department. So our maintainer 2s and other employees can learn and can grow and not leave the city, which has been a challenge for us. But a lot of snow plowing occurs through repetition. Where we have concerns is because the department is half the size it was in 2012, we require to do our snow operation properly, 30 trucks and 30 routes at a minimum. And then larger snows, we will add additional secondary vehicles like sanitation trucks with a plow on the front that are less effective but can help with the A routes. With the limited number of CDLs in the city and with the limited amount of equipment, the same drivers will drive throughout the storm. When you look at cities like New Haven, they have enough of trained plow drivers where they do, every 18 hours, they do 2 shifts.
So it's a staffing issue.
It's staffing, it's equipment, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
But I think we did a great job, and when you look at the other surrounding towns, that 18-inch storm, which I know was a big issue for everyone, many towns did not perform as they would have hoped. You know, our staff is also newer. I would say over 50% of our plow drivers had never been in a storm of that depth. So it's a little bit of both, but with the budget, we also hope to increase training, not only with our CDL drivers, but everything we do. You know, part of why we're working more closely with OSHA, but a challenge for us is also finding other ways and abilities to train.
Now, with the training, is obviously there's real life training, but is there any type of technology where there's virtual simulators or things of that nature?
We are not aware of virtual simulators. There are online classes, and then the University of Connecticut has its T2 Institute, which is basically a public works institute, and they do a phenomenal job at providing low-cost, single-day trainings, and we frequently send our team members up to those trainings on a whole host of different skills, including snow.
Okay. I think Jason's doing a good job. He deserves a raise. As well as the rest of your team. I just want to sing him out. Thank you. Then if there's anything else that we can do to help, please let us know. But just to be clear, within the municipal bond allocation, that really should put DPW in a far better place than where you are right now.
That's the hope. That's the hope. Our challenge now is we are losing vehicles because they are just so old that they are becoming unsafe and having to be taken off the road. We have facilities vans where we had to ground them because you could see the tire spinning through the floor. So we are back. This effort is more to backfill those vehicles that are no longer operable, but it will take a number of years for us to dig out and have a truly reliable fleet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council President. I see that Councilwoman Rosado has joined us. Do you have any questions for Director Hayes?
No, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Director Hayes for his presentation. Apologies for logging on late. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I don't have any questions, but I just have a couple of comments. First of all, certainly I want to thank all your staff that's here today, but every department is important in the city, but DPW, we kind of see it, like fire, like others, not some of the departments that are inside. So I want to thank all the people in the department who sometimes have some of the toughest jobs. I want to thank you, Director Hayes, for coming on, numerous NRZ calls, particularly during the time when it wasn't real comfortable to be yelled at about snow removal, and always staying so positive and showing your face on screen, which I appreciate. And Deputy Director, I really appreciate you constantly putting information out on Facebook and social media so people know what's going on. It's a simple thing, but it takes time and effort, and people really appreciate it. And I can't say enough that you focus on trees. You continue to focus on trees. How important the tree canopy is in our city. We're doing really well. I think we're kind of at But we're going to go back, and if we can continue to do this, it really means a lot. I think it makes a healthier city, a safer city, a better city, and I really appreciate it. With that being said, any questions, they'll send them to you. If not, that's the end of this first presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Fire Department. Okay, you're on.
Good afternoon, Council, and thank you for having me as we present our department budget. First, I want to thank Council and the City and the Mayor for always supporting the Hartford Fire Department. We really appreciate it. I want to introduce to my right is Deputy Chief Mario Kendo. He's in charge of our executive office. To my left, Chief Harry Tullier, Assistant Chief of Operations. Next to him, Chief Daniel Riley, the Assistant Chief of Support. And at the very end is Chief Sharif, who's our City Fire Marshal. So the Hartford Fire Department's mission statement is, we're a highly trained, culturally diverse, ISO Class 1 agency dedicated to preventing and minimizing the loss of life. So we do that through a number of techniques, that is emergency response, medical services, technical rescue, hazardous materials, and public life safety and prevention means. Not only do we do that for the City of Hartford, but we also provide some of those services for our neighbors in the east, west, north, and south, in the form of mutual aid as well. We are a regional asset when it comes to technical rescue and hazardous materials response. Our organizational chart includes myself as the chief, 2 assistant chiefs. I have an executive assistant and an executive officer, and an assistant chief of operations and assistant chief of support. Fire marshals, a training division chief, special services captain, fire alarm and communications superintendent, and an equipment maintenance superintendent. We have 17 companies, 1 tour commander to oversee the entire shift each day, and a district to supervise those north and south companies. Some of our 2026 highlights: we did 33,859 calls for service in 25, and we're the busiest fire department in the state of Connecticut. We did 106 significant structure fires That's through the Fire Suppression Division. We also, through support, relocated, did 47 relocations affecting 530 residents. And that's done by our Special Services Unit, Captain Rivera and his team, along with our Community Emergency Response Team. And I just want to say that that is a lot of work for 3 people in the division. We continually ask for 2 more people to be hired for that division. Also, our Public Fire and Safety Education, which is Special Services, educated 16,481 residents. They taught CPR to 140 city employees and installed smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms in the amount of 679. They also did this every year in conjunction with the Red Cross, Hartford Healthcare, and other partners to make it a bigger event every year to make sure every home in Hartford has smoke detectors and CO detectors installed. They identify high-risk neighborhoods, and that was both SSU and FMO through their fire investigation and their blitzing operations after every fire. So what that is when there's a fire in a particular neighborhood, the Special Services Unit comes out to that neighborhood and knocks on every door in that neighborhood, does a fire safety survey, and offers smoke detectors if they don't have them. Our Fire Marshal's Office did 684,000 inspections for the year of 2025. Some of our strategic initiatives for the year of 2025 is employee engagement, right? And we do that through surveys, committees, and ideas that's presented by our membership. We also do public education and community engagement. So that particular task is undertaken by our Special Services Unit. With that, they are in charge of our cadets and our explorers. But more importantly, as you can see behind us, our CERT team, our Community Emergency Response Team, assists with community relations, and they do that for free. So I just wanted to give them a round of applause for actually volunteering each and every time they come out for the Hartford Fire Department. You guys can stand up so they know who you are. So when it comes to our facility repair and renovations, that is Deputy Chief Mario Oquendo sitting to my right. He is our liaison between the fire department, the city, and DPW. He ensures, along with his team, that any issues we encounter in our fire stations are met, and if it's an immediate need, no matter if it's 4 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock at noon, he has developed relationships with our vendors and our DPW staff to get those issues rectified. He also has partnered with the city's risk management in terms of immediate needs or OSHA violations that we may need corrected, and the executive office is instrumental in maintaining quality of life for our firefighters in our fire stations. Our succession planning is through recruitment, retention, and that's done by SSU. As you can see behind us, we have some cadets and mainly explorers. Can you guys stand up? And we all hope they will be firefighters in the future. Our Special Services Division does a fantastic job in mentoring these young individuals, along with our fire officers in suppression. We have a lot of members that volunteer to help mentor these individuals, along with the cadets as well. I'd like to say on a special note that one of our explorers, he aged out of the Explorer program, but interviewed to become a firefighter and graduated in the last class. So our accountability, so in terms of accountability, the fire department, we're stewards of public trust, right? We have to ensure that the resources that we use are being used wisely. We work diligently with the city to make sure we receive funding for appropriate resources, and we always maintain a balanced budget whenever possible. And most of that is due to Assistant Chief Riley, who's pretty much developed our budget for us, and he works tirelessly with central payroll. So for our professional development, we spent about $32,000 last year in giving free education to our members. So what we continuously done is, if a member would like to take a professional development class, they send an email to the administration, we approve it, we pay for their class, and then we cover their time. What I've also done is we've incentivized education. So with each rank, whether it be driver, lieutenant, captain, district chief, or tour commander, we've instituted a number of classes which we said, if you have these classes, you'll get 10 extra points toward taking the test. And it's really worked out well. We have so many members that went out and sought these classes, and in terms of a liability aspect, them being certified in these particular fields helps the city as well. The training is hands-on by our training division. We usually send members down to the training division to do refresher training on some core abilities that they learned as a firefighter, and some abilities that they have certifications for that they got in a later date in their career. Our training division also ensures that each and every member and new firefighter comes on to a 20-week program and learns firefighter 1 and 2 to become a new firefighter for the Hartford Fire Department. Again, we appreciate the assistance from the city in building a new fire station that has been in the works for some time, and we're hopeful that this administration can see that to fruition. We've developed a apparatus replacement plan, and so we would like a new firehouse to put them in. We've been working tirelessly with the folks at the city to kind of figure out where we want to build it, how much it's going to cost, and that came out of a discussion in renovating Station 5, which became immensely expensive, and out of that discussion, it was realized that we can build a new firehouse for a lesser cost. So our international accreditation, we achieved that last year in the first week of August. So we're an ISO Class 1 accredited department for the next 5 years. And just to give you some context on accreditation, there are 250 performance indicators where peer assessors come in to actually view what we've done in the city and how we operate. We've successfully navigated that challenge and got reaccredited in front of the board when we went to Denver, Colorado last year. As far as the budget, our general fund that was adopted for 2026, $43,026,309. Recommended was $47,800,000 and $449. A change of $4,781,000, which was a 11.1%. And basically the 11.1% is due to growth increments and contract obligations for step increases. Our recent agreement with Local 760 bargaining unit contributed to $3.43 million increase in full-time payroll expenses. That was the new contract, and an overtime budget of $1.14 million, which is higher than fiscal year 2026. Our holiday pay is 0.21 mil, more than more than in fiscal year 2026. Some of our budget highlights are growth increments for 65 newer members. Those are members that came on right after 2017. Most of those members have already reached their 7-year top step, so we have about 65 new members that's still not at top step. Some of the areas we would need to focus on is ensure the readiness for future emergencies. And then when we're talking about that, we're talking about our quality of life for the firehouses and our apparatus. Again, we have an apparatus replacement plan that is very robust, and we've been working with the city to ensure that that funding is available so we can start replacing our aging fleet. Our overtime management, what we've done, and through contractual obligations or changes, we've moved to a new system where position for position is now in effect, so that should control the overtime somewhat. So position for position is, if you're a firefighter, you can only work in a firefighter position. If you're an officer, you can only work in the officer position. So that should curtail the overtime costs significantly as compared to what we've seen in previous years. Monitor increases in costs for equipment and supplies. That is also a big issue for the fire service in general. When we talk about apparatuses, again, there's a class action lawsuit for the manufacturers, which seem to be monopolizing the apparatus field and increasing the prices of apparatuses. Some fire departments experience placing an order for an apparatus, which usually takes 2 to 3 years, sometimes up to 4. And between that time, before it's even built or delivered, there's been at least $100,000 increase. So I know across the fire service, that's a fight that everyone in the fire service and some legislators are working on rectifying. Our staff composition for all employees, we have 58% of firefighters are City of Hartford residents, 42% are non-City Hartford residents. Our race and ethnicity, Hispanic, Latino, 35%, African American, 33%, Caucasian, 32%, and 1% other. We have 4% females, 96% males, and some others prefer not to say. Again, we are a very diverse fire department. We're likely the most diverse in New England with our numbers, and we work very hard to maintain that diversity while also prioritizing City of Hartford residents. Again, I want to thank the council and the city for working with the Hartford Fire Department and making our goals achievable in terms of our apparatus replacement plan and our renovation to our fire stations, and just giving the firefighters a contractual raise altogether. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Chief. I am going to start with my colleagues on the screen. I'll start this time with Councilwoman Rosado.
Through you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, Chief. I just want to thank you for your presentation and thank the fire department for their excellent job that they do day to day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilman.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I second what Councilwoman Rosado says. Y'all are real heroes, and we all appreciate you. And also, I'm sorry for that moment when I was unmuted and you heard me telling my child what to do. My question is about the difference between the budget ask you went to the city with and what ultimately went into the proposed budget. So my question is, what didn't you get that you felt you needed in terms of either the original ask or just the total amount of money?
I, you know, I think the bottom line is the same, and I do believe we did get what we asked. The only difference is because of the contractual changes is why the numbers seem like, it's like we're missing money, but the bottom line is still the same with the contractual changes.
So there's nothing you need that you don't have, is what you're saying?
There's a lot of stuff we need. I'm saying financially with the budget, but we did have a lot of business cases that we put in. One of those, like I said earlier, we do need a new firehouse. We put in a business case for 2 more lieutenants for our special services division, and that is, we ask for that every year because the amount of work that they do is enormous, and it's unsustainable in terms of burnout. The amount of people they reach every year, it's just incredible. So, firehouse, additional personnel, and fire trucks is what we need.
That you didn't get in this budget, so I understand.
Correct. But the fire apparatuses, the city has been working on us. There's a plan in place to give us funding for that separate of the budget. There is monies that's going to be allocated for those, but all of our business cases that we put in for, we did not get.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Majority Leader?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief, for your presentation, and thank you to the entire department for the critical services that you provide to the community every day. We really, truly appreciate that. Just have a question about recruiting. Are you facing any current challenges, and do you feel the collective bargaining agreement has helped those efforts at all?
So recruiting is a challenge all across the fire service. I do believe in the last class we did experience a low number of folks taking the test, and then through the process of elimination, it was even lower. I don't think, like Hartford is a very unique fire department, and there's a lot of people that want to work in Hartford because we do a lot of we do a lot of calls for service. So I don't believe it's any more challenging than any other municipality. I do believe that the increase in pay has leveled the playing field, and when we do our next round of testing, I'm confident we'll get more candidates to apply.
Thank you.
He's not here. I just want to make a comment, Chiefs. First of all, as I said to the last department, thank you for everyone's here, and thank you for everyone for, what you do for our city. I really love to see the fire explorers here, and I love the story that you have one who has since become a firefighter. Isn't that really what we want to see happen? And I like that you mentioned you try to, keep your department diverse, Hartford residency. Male, female, a little tilted, but I'm sure you're working on that. I don't know where he went. He may have to forfeit his, okay.
It's okay, he can call me.
He can call you.
Yeah.
They all agree. So with that being said, we thank you for your time. We again thank you for coming tonight, and thank you, Chief, for everything you do. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
That will bring us to our next committee, which is Emergency Telecommunications. some colleagues on the screen and Council President's back, and Majority Leader needs to take a moment. So we will start the presentation. We have Director Cavello here from Emergency Telecommunications. You're on, Director.
Good evening, Councilwoman. Thank you very much, Councilman. I just want to introduce my staff that's with me here tonight. This is Deputy Director Shante Washington and Senior Administrative Assistant Brenda Perez. That's a tough act to follow, but I do want to say a couple things. Number one is, while the fire department is the busiest fire department in Connecticut, this team, not necessarily me, but those who I represent, answer all those calls. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And the second part is, since they obtained their accreditation, which is the same thing that the Hartford Police Department has done, that is both tied very deeply into dispatch, because the National Fire Protection Act has certain parameters under which dispatch must operate in order for them to attain that accreditation. So I wanted to throw that out for my staff as well. So the mission statement for the Emergency Services and Telecommunications is hasn't changed, but I'm going to read it out loud because I really think it drives home what it is that we do. The City of Hartford Department of Emergency Services and Telecommunications core mission is to provide high-quality emergency services communication to police, fire, and emergency medical services personnel and to citizens of Hartford. We carry out this mission by receiving calls for service, dispatching the appropriate resources, tracking and coordinating information flows and resources, initiating records for all emergency events, and enhancing the effectiveness, efficiency, coordination, and interoperability of emergency services providers. Here is our organizational chart. A couple of things updated from last time is that we now have Deputy Director Washington on board. She's a 25-year veteran of the agency, and I couldn't be any prouder to have her sitting next to me here. We are a very small footprint, as you can see, but we have a very big mission. We have a couple of key vacancies, which we're currently working on. The Quality Assurance Coordinator, which is driven by state statute because we're emergency medical dispatch providers, is underway, and we have some very good candidates that we're currently vetting. And then we had a project leader that handles the infrastructure of our department that retired recently, and that is also underway. A staffing update for you. We currently have 20, there's a little bit of a change in this. We currently have 20 dispatchers that are fully trained. We have 3 call takers that are fully trained, and we have 9 trainees currently in different stages of training, with 10 openings for a new class, which we hope to do sometime in May. And we have 4 offers on the table to some of those prospective candidates. I always like to throw this in because I know that this board always likes to know what's going on with the HART teams as far as call volume is concerned. The CRT, which the CRT Wheeler and Mobile Crisis makes up the HART team. They have a combined call so far this year of 358 calls. I just wanted to throw out one last thing. I made a note here about HR. I do want to throw them a shout out because they have diligently been helping us recruit and obtain really quality candidates for us to continue to train and put on the floor. And we also we have 2 MOUs, one that's been signed and one that's in the processes of being signed to enhance the workforce there to get us through until we're fully staffed. Some of our highlights, and this is kind of a big deal, is the radio system project kind of winds down. There's 3 main parts to it. It's the radio system, the microwave network, and site upgrades, which is basically the towers. The radio system it's up and operational right now. We have the Board of Ed, and DPW currently utilizing. They're basically simulcasting right now. So we have the old system running and the new system running, and it's been flawless. And so far, it's working at a high degree of operational effectiveness. The engineers tell me that it is working perfectly. The cutover for the police department, they're currently their radios are being programmed. That is currently being done, and we're hoping to have that done by May 19th. And then sometime in June, we expect the fire department to also cut over. The system is getting, again, such high reviews for its effectiveness, I have been contacted by the East Hartford Fire Chief, who is discussing the options that they may come over onto our system, which would be great for interoperability and also future cost sharing. Some of our strategic initiatives are as follows: to develop improved efficiencies through technology, to enhance staffing and workforce development, ensure service resilience and optimization, and implement process improvements and enhancements through policies and procedures. And I could tell you that how we've done some of these things is that we've currently upgraded our Rapid SOS software. I talked about this at the last budget hearing. It has all kinds of attributes that enhance, the 911 system is provided by the state of Connecticut, and it has certain bottom line functions that it must have for all agencies that it serves. But this Rapid SOS is an upgrade to that, and it just gives us more robust data to respond to the citizens when they're in crisis. We also updated the total response software. We currently, when I took over, we were using a flip chart system, which was a bit antiquated, and it was time for an upgrade, and we moved to a computer software program. However, it did not communicate with our new CAD system. So this new software upgrade for total response will now actually, when a dispatcher is using it, all of the pre-hospital medical advice that they give, pre-arrival instructions that they give to the citizens will now automatically import to our CAD system, and that's hugely important for both quality assurance, and it's a very litigious environment, so this is a huge upgrade for us. We currently have an automated attendant still functioning, and that's been fantastic because it basically has just throttled down the enormous amount of administrative calls that we take. And that's one of the things that Rapid SOS is also developing through AI, is that a lot of these non-emergent calls, if it comes in on a non-emergency line, the Rapid SOS auto attendant can actually handle your call and direct you in the right place. What else do I have for you? Some targeted training. This is the first time in history I've been told by the Human Resources Department that one of the things we have done is we've been hosting classes, and I know this isn't the first time I've told you this, but I've carved out monies from our DSET subsidy to host classes in Hartford for training dispatchers. What has happened is we have gotten such a robust response from outside agencies that now every time we put a job posting out, we're getting applicants from outside of Hartford that want to come work here in Hartford, our dispatch center. We just had one applicant from Groton who just moved up here because he was looking both for the pay and for, as Chief Barco said, this is a very active city and a very active dispatch center. So I'm really happy about that. It's working as intended. I could tell you that during breaks on classes, Deputy Director Washington courts these students and gives them tours of our center and explains to them what it is we do, why it is we do it, and why they should work for us and not wherever they currently are. We also have increased our targeted training for supervisors. We have increased there's certain mandated certifications that the state of Connecticut dictates that all PSAP employees will have. We have increased that certification mandates on our own just to improve our operation efficiency. We're constantly reviewing policies and practices. I could tell you that one of them of note is that Deputy Director Washington and Karen Tomchek, who she retired from the Weathersford Police Department after 27 years, and we snatched her up. Her, Deputy Director Washington, promulgated a policy for our Sentinel alarms, which are basically for high-risk domestic violence offenders. And unfortunately, Hartford has a number of those because that program started in Hartford. Well, these two ladies wrote the policy, and the policy has been so well received by the courts that they've asked for it to use as a training tool for other agencies to follow. Super proud of them for that. Next slide. So as far as the budget's concerned, we have about a 3.2% increase from the previous budget cycle, and I wrote in here that it's primarily driven by employee contractual salary, but I think it's entirely driven by that. We have no other costs that have driven that price up, and one of the things I could also tell you is really happy to report. Now, I know Julian, he did this mathematically, but he was able to come really close to the actual subsidy that the state has given us, which is increased by 12.4%. So they basically take the population and the call volume over a 3-year period, and that's how they come up with that subsidy, which is now currently $949,000 and change. So we're in good shape there. We currently have, I think, I don't have my note, I don't have where I wrote it in my notes, but we have 7 dispatchers that are fully funded by that, it's 7, by that grant. With the increase in funds, we'll be able to put at least one more dispatcher into that grant fund. For call volume, our current, or I should say, the last available numbers are 131,000 911 calls, 329,000 admin calls and change, which puts us around 460,000, which is down. I know Councilman Gale asked me this last time. I did a due diligence to try to figure out why it had spiked, and it was very difficult to tell, because if you call the center and it's not in a 911 line, or if you call this center and it doesn't generate a call for service for which the phone number that calls and whatever you called about is documented, it's very difficult to tell why they fluctuated, but it's gone down greatly, and we of course appreciate that. Both in emergencies is kind of down slightly, but the administrative calls is laborious for the staff to handle those. Excellent. And back to what I said about Chief Barco's numbers, yeah, I just want to reiterate, as all your first responders come before you, all of their call numbers, yeah, they all start with us. So the police department's numbers are down by 3%, fire suppression is up by 2%, fire medical down by 1%, ambulance calls in this city is up, I'm sorry, excuse me, is down 2%, and the total overall is down 2%. But every one of those calls, you can't call the Hartford Fire Department and speak with a firefighter directly, unless they've given you a phone number. You can't call the Hartford Police Department directly. Every call you make to your emergency services in this community are coming to the staff. Our composition makeup is 12% City of Hartford residents, 88% non-residents, 16% Hispanic, 39% African American, 39% Caucasian, and we had 5.3% that preferred not to say. And I'm also proud to say, and I was reminded of this today, that we have a 67% female workforce and a 32% male workforce. All these numbers are driven from we were obtaining these through their applicants when they apply for the jobs. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Director. I will start with my colleagues on the screen. I see Councilman Mitchum is still there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that presentation. Thank you, of course, for the work you do, which is so essential. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Chief Barco. What were the asks, the use cases that you didn't get?
Thank you, sir, for your question. I will tell you that this year I had no business cases. I would tell you that everything I asked for in my budget was provided to me. I'm super comfortable with that this year. I will tell you that that won't be the case next year, because we do have some issues such as the dispatch equipment. The stations that the dispatchers are at are all end of life. So those will have that, but that's a huge undertaking. I couldn't even tell you today what that price might look like. But there are offsets that the state of Connecticut offers as far as grants and subsidies to offset that cost, but I don't have it in front of me now, and that's a next year budget cycle item for me.
Got you. Sorry. Business cases is what I meant when I said use cases. Thank you. My other, I guess, related question, staffing wise, not in terms of if vacancies, but like you feel like you have the number of positions you need to do the job adequately? So
if I had the entire workforce trained up at 45, we would be in great shape. We would be in great shape. I would never turn down more help, but we would be in great shape, and we're working at a breakneck pace to get there, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Councilman. Councilwoman Rosado?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, Director Cavello, thank you for your presentation, and also to Deputy Director Shantae Washington. I know that at our public safety meetings, we're now seeing more of her, which is great. And I just want to thank you for your presentation. I really don't have any questions. I'll just leave it at, I love your staff composition. With I believe it said 67% are females. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Majority Leader?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you to your department for all the important work that you do. Just easy question. I see that you have 12 openings, and you have a cert list of 8 candidates. And so I'm wondering how you plan to hire. Is it happening soon? Are you going to hope to get, 8 of 8, or?
Yes, ma'am. If you
Okay.
remember, when I first took over the position, we were training large classes and just trying to, get people into the room. We have kind of dialed that back because we were exhausting the team in training. So we're basically running a class of about 6 to 8 people, depending on how many we get that are qualified, about every 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So we had initially May.
The week of May 11th, we have a projected class start a new academy, but we are still going to be interviewing, and we have some offers that are out.
That was our goal, yeah, May 11th. We have to push it out, but it won't be much beyond that. So the classes are running regularly.
So thank you very much. I feel like you guys have definitely built up over the last couple of years
With
since
your
budget
help.
hearings that I've been at. So
With the city's help, ma'am.
yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations to your department, and I always look forward to coming back for another visit. That was
Always welcome, ma'am.
all
Thank
right,
you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Council President?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Director, thank you. Good to see you in person, finally, Deputy Director Washington. Just quick question regarding, more so, I don't have any questions for this budget year. I think you all have been doing a phenomenal job with your team and how you've actually built up the department and also increased the morale. So I remember when you started, the morale was trending in an opposite direction. So thank you for your hard work in establishing a great
Thank you,
leadership
sir.
team. So just to probably get a head start for next year, you mentioned the end of life for your workstations. Have you start to analyze the time that it would take to, let's say, if all the workstations are replaced, what that looks like?
I have not, sir. To be honest with you, it is a necessary undertaking, but is a huge undertaking. So we have just started to, with my team, walk the floor, doing measurements and counting, seats and counting benches and whatnot. Yep. So it's a huge undertaking, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And I also believe that if we do it right, again, there's a pretty good, I can't remember off the top of my head the subsidy that the state will give us, but they give us up to a certain percentage of the 900,000 subsidy. They'll give us another subset of money in addition to that to offset these type of capital improvements. So we just have to do it right, and I was not prepared to tackle that before this budget cycle. We have enough equipment, our situation is stable that we will be fine, but as some of the workstations break down, we're having to either cannibalize other stations to make them work, or our team that works in our radio shop are doing some ad hoc improvements to keep us running until next year. But you will see me with a business case next year, sir.
Okay, good. Just walk us through, as a follow-up to that, walk us through what exists in the station.
So your given station has, first of all, there's a formula, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but there's a certain square footage formula for each person in their workstation. That means a certain distance apart from their neighbors and what they need to work. There's multiple screens, multiple mice, multiple keyboards for multiple systems that some run together and some run separately. As we update the systems, we're going to try to tie some of the, that's one of the things that I could tell you that myself and the IT team, we're looking to see where can we maximize the screen space, but minimize the amount of screens that we need. Now they make some of these big wide screens that could, and the more real estate you have in screens, the more information we could put up so that the telecommunicator doesn't have to go between screens to get the information they need to respond to calls. So it's a very busy, then you also, each console has a radio console, so that pretty much the way the system is set up, and I inherited this, I didn't design it, it's a great design, I'd like to take credit for it, but it's not mine. Any place you sit down in our center, you can do anything. So that's really critical. So if you have a site failure in one part of the room, you could walk anywhere else in the room, sit down, and you can log onto our systems and have the exact same functionality at another system. And that's critical. The other thing that we have to update that's currently in the works is just the feed of electricity to the floor matters, right? So the floor is set up in 3 sections. Each part of the floor has a different feed in case there's an outage. So all these redundancies are built in so that you don't just have one issue that shuts down the whole center, although that has happened before. There are times where it can't be overcome. But there's so much that has to go into us redesigning how we get this ready for the future that that's why I wasn't prepared to do it this year.
Well, that does sound like a tremendous undertaking. Last follow-up question. How many of these stations are on the floor?
We have 12 on the floor, plus 2 supervisor stations, plus we have 6. We've used it as a training center, but it also we've been cannibalizing it to keep the other stations live. We have the old 311 center there, so all of those same workstations are now in different stages of disrepair. So back to morale and the fact that we're trying to recruit as many people as possible to come work there. It's not only, the functionality is going down, it's unsightly. So there's just a lot into it for us to fix it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I just want a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank you and your team. If any of my colleagues have not been to a tour, I encourage them to go. It is, you kind of always knew this is what happened, but to see it is to really believe it. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Julian, who is a constant force in our lives. Thank you very much, Julian. One last thing, when you talk about the, East Hartford called and, they're interested and it's cost sharing, which is a benefit to us. Is there a finite amount, like if all of a sudden 6 towns called and said, hey, we love this, is there a way to do that and then it's even more cost savings, or is it a certain amount?
So that's a great question, and it's really outside my area of expertise, right? We hire a consultant to consult on the radio project. And I know that there's plenty of bandwidth on the system to do all kinds of things. There's tons of room for expansion. Exactly what that looks like, I'd be guessing, ma'am.
Okay, because we love, not duplicating things, cost sharing, bring things in. So I applaud that, and if it can be bigger, applaud it even more.
Absolutely.
With that being said, Councilwoman Rosado has her hand up.
Yeah, I have a quick question, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. Director Cavello, in your past budget or this current budget, have you put in anything for real-time decision support or technology-assisted tools that perhaps could help the call takers during a 911 live call?
So the only tool that probably speaks to what you're asking, ma'am, is the Rapid SOS, because that has an AI technology component to it that will both, once it's fully up and running and operational, it could both take calls, even 911 calls for some of our routine 911s. I hate to use that term, but for alarms, it can receive an alarm call from like a central station alarm and automatically populate the CAD, which would send it right to a dispatcher to be sent out so that there would be no call taker function. The other thing is, and you'll probably appreciate this, is that I think they're at somewhere around the 200 languages mark, but it will be able to do real-time interpretation while it's also giving you a transcription. So you could, once it knows the language you're speaking, this is huge, even if you're speaking English, right, under a stressful situation, to be able to look into the thread of the transcript, so you know exactly what somebody said if there's any, concern. So there's definitely AI component to it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. With that being said, I believe there are no further questions. I thank you. I thank your department. I thank you for your time. And that brings this meeting to adjourn. And I'm going to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.